Okay, morning everybody and welcome to today's session. This is the fifth session of the series, and this morning's session gives us an opportunity to hear more about the final stage of our master's level programme. So this, we talk about the Executive MBA top-up with the University of Northampton. If you've missed any of the previous sessions, then you can view them on the One NHS Finance website. I'm Emily Osgood, I'm Head of Education and Professional Development at HFMA, and I will be chairing today's session. And I'm joined today by Ewan Tracey from the University of Northampton. The session will last no more than 60 minutes, probably more like half an hour actually this morning, including a Q&A session at the end. So also just to say that if your sound or your visuals do drop out during the session, don't worry, it is being recorded. And as I say, it'll be available on the One NHS Finance website shortly. So if you would prefer not to be on camera, then do by all means turn your video off. But without any further delay, let's begin. So over to you, Ewan.
Hi, so welcome to everybody. Glad to be here today to attend and run through this part of the process with you. At the University of Northampton, we have, in conjunction with the HFMA, designed a specialist executive MBA route for learners who have completed the HFMA advanced diploma, which allows you to continue that progress and study to complete a full executive MBA in healthcare finance. We run that as a distance program with 2 intakes per year in February and September. With it being a distance program, we tailor the material and the time constraints and the commitments around your work life and the other commitments that you may have. We structure the module into the course into 2 separate modules. It is 1 year to 15 months in duration. And the 2 modules are designed to develop those academic skills in order to be able to approach problems and issues that are facing you at work in a different manner. So we pride ourselves at the University of Northampton on being a student-led teaching university. We only teach in small groups. We don't have big lecture theatres because we feel as though that doesn't give enough interaction between learner and what we call the guide rather than the teacher, between themselves and the material. One thing to be very clear on is, in this part of the MBA process, we are not developing new technical content. There is no way that we can tell you more about healthcare finance than you know in the roles that you have. What we are doing here is we are taking the learning that you have from the advanced diploma and your professional experience, and we are giving you tools to approach these issues in an academic way, in a research-based way, in order to find credible sources and make evidence-based reasoned and assertions, so that you are developing that side of thinking approach rather than just learning more information. You will be led by an academic team with strong links to industry and also healthcare. We actually have, as one of our adjunct lecturers is a healthcare finance manager at the Northampton General Hospital with us, that comes in and teaches with us as well. We are looking to develop the professional skills and the academic skills, not the content and knowledge. All of the assignments that you do in both of the modules on this program will be focused around your work, your role, and your experience. We will be asking you to identify things that are happening to you or that are coming soon to you, so that you can approach those in a more academic way. Could we move on slide? We said there before, it's a 1 year part-time program. So we will go, when we look at the modules in detail, we'll look at more of what that time may be and also the flexibility that's available. Everything will be delivered to you online. You will have online real-time classes, as well as material that you can access and individuals that you can approach for one-to-ones outside of those times as well. The fee there for this year, whether there's inflationary rises, I do not know. The fee for this year for the programme is £3,600. Now, the structure of the course is in 2 modules. Now, the first module, which is called Critical Issues in Healthcare Finance, is 10 credits long. Now, MBA programs are built up in credits. In order to gain the MBA title, you must study at least 1/3 of the MBA with us. That's this 1/3. We have worked with the HFMA and accredited their diploma system as the additional 120 credits by recognizing that to make up the rest of the MBA that you are awarded. This first 10 credit module is designed to give you an introduction into academic writing and academic sources and develop your writing style before going into a much deeper, what used to be called dissertation is now just called an individual research project. This year in the 10 credit module, the students were encouraged to identify one issue that was affecting them professionally and conduct an investigation from an academic standpoint into that. This involves them looking at government policy, practice regulations, academic publications, and building up a knowledge base on why these things are happening. So what we're looking for at master's level is not just this idea of I know this, it's I understand this because with a range of evidence that you can produce which supports your opinion. This module has a single 2,000 word assignment, which is designed to just give a toe in the water to literature reviews and analysis and conclusion and academic writing. Students find this module very, very helpful because then when they go on to do their individual research project, which is more like 12 to 15,000 words, they have already gone through that process in a mini-sized project once, and they've been able to find out and hone their skills and also understand where the different sources of information they can access come from. This year, the February cohort, they started that module in February and they submitted their assignment at the beginning of May. That's now done and they have moved on to their 50 credit dissertation, which is again a live issue that you are experiencing within the NHS that's affecting your role or the role of a finance professional within the NHS specifically. At this point, you'll be given a one-to-one supervisor who will be your personal contact for guiding you through that entire process. You receive 12 months from the start of that project. So the students which started in the middle of February this year, their submission date is somewhere around the end of April for next year. So it's about a 12 to 14 month process. That submission will be reviewed with your supervisor and discussed and developed over a longer period of time, and is designed to show that you are able to tackle a live issue within your organization from an academic point of view and conduct sound evidence-based research in order to find out answers to a problem, which is the crux of a master's level program. The first module is designed to help you with the second module. So more often than not, students are worried if they don't get a grade in the first one, which they think is what they should have started out aiming for. Now, they are still achieving very good grades. I have to tell them this every time we give them to them. However, this is designed to develop those skills. Previously, more than 4 years ago, MBA one-year top-up programs, you just did a dissertation. And our experience was that taking people who haven't been studying with university either ever or for a very long time and just asking them to do a master's dissertation was setting them up to fail. So this 10 credit module is designed as a scaffolding bridge to get you back into that habit, developing the study skills, developing the writing style to be able to hone the skills to move on to the next project. Does anybody have any questions they would like to ask? All of our contact details are on there. Application to this program is done through our online application portal on our website, not through the HFMA. However, this program, this Executive MBA Top-Up in Healthcare Finance, is only available to those students who have that advanced diploma and are coming through the HFMA route. The 10 credit module that you do is solely with those other HFMA students. Once you progress onto the individual research project, you are then amalgamated into any other working professionals globally from any industry that will be doing that at the same time. However, your project is directed by you. So it just creates a wider student body for you to interact with and have any networking with. But that 10 credit module is solely directed towards HFMA students. Yes.
That's great, thanks, Ewan. I think the other thing I just wanted to add is that HFMA provides some additional support for the final project in the form of providing access to a non-academic sponsor from our Policy and Research Committee, and this has proved really valuable in the past for previous learners who have been able to discuss their project and kind of get a feel for whether they think that might work in a non-academic sense. And then they would then take that along and then discuss with their supervisor from the academic perspective. I think that's worked really well, and that's something that we will continue to offer with Northampton as well.
And one other thing that we will be able to offer as well alongside of that is, whilst this programme is run through our Faculty of Business and Law, we also have a Faculty of Health which works with the NHS very closely. So teaming up with academics in that faculty will also be able to look at academic research from a medical point of view, as well as coming from us from a business and finance point of view. So we do have other people that we can link with that can give a different perspective from those 3 different areas as well.
Brilliant, thanks, Ewan. I think questions that come up time and time again for us is the time commitment and everything, and what happens if something sort of comes up during the study time and they need to defer. What sort of happens then?
So, for example, in the 10 credit module this year that we ran, we had 5 1.5-hour online live sessions where everyone came together, spread over 6 weeks. And then after that, it was a case of as and when in one-to-ones to help with the students with their writing. So I had at least 3 one-to-ones with each student in that period running up to the hand-in. The 2,000-word assignment, students were given 9 weeks to write that. So if students cannot make those online live sessions, they are recorded and made available so they can watch them afterwards. It is better to try and attend them because it's where you get interactions with the other students as well that can create some kind of cohort experience, so you learn who else is on there as well. In terms of assessment deadlines, a deadline will be set. For example, this year there was an issue with a technical. One of the weeks of the online class, there was a technical issue, so we had to move that back. So the first thing we did was we moved the assessment back because that's a flexible date that we can move. Once the deadline is set, students can ask for, if it's a short time, just something's happened that means they're busy for 1 week, students can agree up to a 2-week informal extension on any submission with the module leader. They can ask for longer than 2 weeks. However, if they require longer than that, then it's a formal application to the university rather than just an agreement between the tutor and the student. And this is because we work to a 4-week turnaround marking. So I know that if I'm agreeing a 2-week deadline, that's eating into my 4 weeks to get the feedback back to them. If they need longer than that, the university needs to know that that student might not get it within that 4-week deadline. So it's what's called mitigating circumstances. Now, the next stage after that, for example, we had one student this year who changed jobs. That meant that there was going to be a period of about 3 months where they were just going to be so busy. There is something called a study break, which is agreed with the university. And that is where the whole process is just paused and you come back to it at a later point. So you would join, say, the next cohort or 12 months later, take up exactly where you left off. So if you had submitted any work beforehand, those grades would carry forward. If you hadn't, it wouldn't be deemed late or outstanding. You would literally just pause your study until you're ready to go back onto it. Those longer ones, there are formal processes for applying for those. They're not complicated. It's just so that the university knows there's not ad hoc arrangements coming about all over the place. But if it's as simple as, look, something's happened and it's going to take me a couple of days, speak to your tutor. That informal 2 weeks can always be applied to anybody at any time.
Really helpful. Thanks, Ewan. Are there any other questions?
One thing I'd add is that the reason why we direct all of the assessment to be around the student's role or experience or current job is because that means that it's not additional time constraint whereby somebody's having to fit in something completely different to what they're doing every day. The idea is we can incorporate what they're doing every day to what they're doing, so it's less extra time required.
Yeah. Oh, no, thank you. Any other questions? I don't know whether Nick or Steph, you've got any for Ewan.
Yeah, Ewan, question for me. Re, the projects that people do at the end. Can you give us an idea of the type of subjects that have been covered in the past by previous students?
So I know that there is students looking at partnerships within the NHS. There is students looking at primary care network. There is people looking at the impact of COVID on funding for GPs. Lots of those. So they are topics that I know that are being looked at right now.
Fantastic.
So
thank you.
Literally, it's anything that is facing those people in their workplace.
Great. And I'm assuming there are people that they can draw upon within the university who have expertise or advice, not necessarily academically, but also within those topic areas that might be able to support those people to network.
Yes, that's why we were involving the Faculty of Health, because obviously if someone asks me about what's happening in the primary care network of the NHS, my face will go on to screensaver. But somebody in the Faculty of Health might be working in that area, so we can link them up that way as well as having a finance manager from the NHS on our staff that we can put them in touch with, because they're obviously maybe facing the same types of things. So it might be that you have a primary supervisor, but there are other people who you can draw into a supervisory team to create a more rounded support network that will help them on an academic and also a content level.
That's great to know there's that support there, definitely. Also, with regards to, obviously this is an online programme and the part with HFMA is all delivered online. If students want to, can they go to any of your campuses at the university and study?
They are more than welcome. They have all the same access rights to all of the facilities and the resources as a full-time student. It is just that there's no physical requirement for that, because that may preclude somebody who was not able to do that. And they're always more than welcome to come and meet staff and visit and see what's going on and engage. And in terms of, say, graduation, that takes place with the other students in the formal graduation ceremony that takes place in our Derngate Theatre in Northampton. So they are very much exactly the same type of student as anybody else who is at the university, with the same status and rights and standing. It's just that their content delivery is through a virtual platform.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that.
Great. Thank you. I guess just finally, Ewan, have you got any hints and tips for success for anybody or embarking on the programme?
Yes. So my first one will be linked back to that topic choice. Choosing a topic that currently is in your working sphere makes it much easier for you to engage with it. If you're doing something at work and something else to study, you've got all of that going around. We all know that when you get home at night, what your challenges at work are still running around your mind. If you've got to clear that to think about something else, it makes it difficult to do that. Whereas if they're incorporated together, it means that you feel like you're studying, not working, but what you're doing is developing a thought process that will help you when you get back to work. So choosing those things that go together makes it feel like less of a disconnect. The other thing I would say is people worry about the time commitment, and it's not no time commitment, but it's not massive time commitment as long as you keep at it. small regular engagement makes it much easier than thinking, oh, I can't do anything for a few weeks and then having to catch it up. So making sure that there's regular engagement, even if it's just at the initial stage when you're trying to find resources to read upon the subject that you're looking at, do it once a week. That's all you would really have to do. Rather than thinking I won't do anything for 8 weeks and then cram it all in at the end. That doesn't work. These projects require long-term thought processes going through them. It cannot be I work better to a deadline, so I'll cram it in at the end. You won't develop the depth of thought and understanding that's required to show your synthesis of analysis if you're just trying to cram it all in at the end. We have these different styles called deep learning and shallow learning. And shallow learning is when you've got an exam the next day, so you cram all of that information in and you know it on that day, but a week later it's gone. You peaked at that point. Deep learning is those things that sink in, that you will never forget, and they become part of just your thought process. At master's level, you're striving for deep learning. Those things will seep in and you'll be able to incorporate them again and again and evolve them and develop them, not cramming in to the point where you can get everything out to pass and then not knowing later on. The only way to do that is to spend little amounts over a longer period of time doing it.
Thanks, Ewan. That's really, really helpful, and really great to have you along to present this morning. Thank you. I think that's probably all the questions. But yeah, just to say thank you once again for joining us this morning. And of course, a big thank you to everyone listening in. As I mentioned earlier, an audio-visual recording of the session will be available on the One NHS Finance website. Do join us again next week. We've got the final in our final session in our series where we are going to hear from some of our learners. So we look forward to welcoming you again to our future HFMA Academy sessions, and thanks for joining. Have a great day.
Thank you.